Well, welcome viewers. Dr. J.W.A. theologist since 1994, studying the Senate. And before I open this clip, pay attention to the room itself, not just the words. Watch the atmosphere. Watch what happens the moment Senator Malcolm Roberts asks a direct question about women's rights and whether the Office for Women supports Sall Grover after the court ruling. The room tightens immediately. Heckling begins in the background. Interruptions rise. The atmosphere shifts from inquiry to containment, because sometimes institutions answer questions with language, and sometimes they answer by making the question itself socially dangerous to continue asking or even unapplicable. Viewers are now watching something larger than a Senate exchange. They're watching pressure applied against a line of questioning the room appears desperate to emotionally suppress. Not through clarity, not through confidence, but through noise, friction, and atmosphere management.
Real feminist movement, and I honour them. I sincerely do. Does the Office for Women support Sall Grover in her case, Giggle versus Tickle? Sall is otherwise known as Giggle. As this case result in the federal court recently clearly shows that women's rights are under attack from men identifying as women as part of the so-called trans activists. Do you support Sall Grover?
I don't believe that's a matter for us. I would direct you to AGD, and I think you did canvass this at length last night.
I did. And I'll continue to do so. As part of a move...
Just ensure your questions are sort of directed to the right people, Senator Roberts. That would be really helpful.
I'm coming to that. And by the way, the trans activist movement is part of a movement wanting to destabilise, divide our country, modern Marxists. Now, I can't believe we're living in a time where this is even a topic of conversation. Surely it would be better to help these obviously unwell people with loving the body they are already born in, not encourage them to continue down this destructive path which puts women at risk. The Office for Women plays a critical role in driving policies to eliminate domestic, family and sexual violence, and I applaud you for that. The recent decision in the Giggle versus Tickle has diminished the rights of biological women to have safe places.
Yeah, Senator Roberts, I think we've covered this in the sense that that case is not a matter for these witnesses.
My question, Chair, is does this office accept that women are entitled to have safe places where men, biological or identified, are not welcome? Do women have the right to have that?
Senator, we're focused on tangible and practical outcomes to close gender gaps. And we're guided by our strategy, Working for Women. And what our day-to-day work involves is to focus on what the Commonwealth can do to keep women safe, ensure families have choice in relation to care and work, as I said before, improve women's health and their place in decision-making. When we deal with these things, everyone is safer, all Australians are safer and have freedom and opportunities. So I would just say that what our daily work is about ensuring that we have, we keep women safe and work on the issues that we have in our strategy to ensure that we get to gender equality.
So what could be more tangible than a man who identifies as a woman but is still a man attacking a woman? Nothing could be more tangible than that. Nothing could be more safety aware than that. So I want to know, why should Australians be forced? Why should Australians be forced to accept that men can be women when they're not?
Not relevant
Senator,
to these witnesses,
when we deal
Senator.
with the issues that we have in our strategy, these issues almost never come up. So when we focus on the issues that are about ensuring that we remove the barriers to ensuring that we can have gender equality in this country, these issues do not come up in our day-to-day work.
Does the Office for Women stand with biological women, or does this office also include men identifying as women?
We stand with all women, Senator.
So that's biological women?
What does that term even mean? It's a ridiculous
The witness
question.
said all women, Senator Roberts.
So I stand
You're
for-
trying to create a
Safe
divide
spaces for
here.
women. I want women's rights back.
How about you leave that up to us to figure out for ourselves?
Well, that's what I'm doing, and they're coming to me saying, for goodness sake, pursue this issue with the Office for Women. Senator Cash knows all about it. That's exactly what we're doing. So I stand for women's rights as hard fought for and won by the feminist movement decades ago. Do you believe that a man that is born with male genitals and male chromosomes can be anything other than a male?
This is a medical question, Senator Roberts. You're better off in the health department, which is next week.
If men can be women, does that mean anyone can identify something they're clearly not? For example, if I considered myself to be a 6'6" basketball player, when I'm clearly not, would it be considered delusional?
Again, a medical question, Senator Roberts. I would direct
Okay, we'll
you
get
to
to the
the health
final
department.
one. Minister, will the government change the law? Because the irony is that Labor Prime Minister Julia Gillard, the first female Prime Minister in this country, it was her who created the legislation that created this mess, and she accused Tony Abbott of being misogynist. One Nation will amend the Sex Discrimination Act legislated by the Gillard government that has created this mess. Why don't you do it before the election and change it?
It's not a matter for the Office of Women. That's a matter that should
I'm
be...
asking the Minister.
Well, it's a matter for the Attorney General, and her representative appeared last night, as did representatives from Attorney General. So I presume you asked the question of them. That's where it's appropriately made.
I'm asking you as a Minister of the government
But
today.
it does
You've
not
got 2 years left in your
It
term.
does not fall within my ministerial responsibilities, Senator Roberts. It's a matter for the Attorney General.
You're a woman and you're a minister and
Senator
you're
Roberts,
part of the government.
Senator Roberts, if you want to ask that question about changing that particular legislation, then you were in the wrong place for that. I believe you've already done that and asked in those
Didn't ask
areas.
that
You may
question.
not have liked the
didn't
you
ask
didn't
that
ask those
question
questions.
yesterday.
Well, you still have time to put it on notice, Senator Roberts, if you would like to do that to the relevant agency.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
By the end of this exchange, the room itself had become part of the answer. The chair erupts, interjections intensify, laughter spreads across the chamber, and Senator Malcolm Roberts is increasingly treated less like a parliamentary representative asking a constitutional question, and more like someone the room wants emotionally discredited before the public, whether they're aware of it or not. And that matters because once institutions begin socially humiliating the person asking the question instead of calmly dismantling the question itself, viewers start recognising something deeper unfolding underneath the hearing. The atmosphere shifts from democratic scrutiny into behavioural containment, not persuasion, not clarity, pressure. The room laughs, the chair intervenes, the question becomes the problem. And Australians like myself watching this are left confronting an unsettling possibility. The same questions are now considered unacceptable to ask publicly, not because they lack importance, but because answering them honestly may destabilise the ideological balance the institution is trying to sociologically preserve and parliamentarily reserve. And that's why the atmosphere becomes so emotionally charged. Because when systems feel morally secure, they usually welcome scrutiny. But when institutions begin relying on ridicule, interruption, emotional compression, and collective social pressure, the public starts sensing fear underneath the authority itself. And once citizens begin perceiving that certain truths cannot be questioned without public humiliation, trust does not merely weaken politically, it fractures psychologically. I'm Dr. J.W.A., theologist. Like and subscribe to help the channel, comment to educate me, and share to help somebody else.